Hello, my name is Steve Bowler, and welcome to the Introduction to Juniper Lab number 3. In this lab, what I'm going to show you is how to configure a point-to-point link. More specifically, we're going to be showing you how to configure a point-to-point Ethernet link between a Cisco and Juniper router. So what I've done in this lab is I've combined two separate labs. One of the labs was going to be just showing you how to configure a point-to-point link, and the other lab I was going to show you how to configure a link between a Cisco and Juniper router. So what I've done is I've combined those two labs into this one video. So in the video, what we're going to do is we're going to configure a point-to-point Ethernet link between two routers, more specifically the Cisco and Juniper router. We're going to verify connectivity between the point-to-point link. I'm going to show you how to do a ping from end to end, and we're going to show you some of the Juniper options with ping. I'm also going to show you how to use the monitor command on the Juniper device. Then I'm also going to show you how to clear the counters on the Juniper interface. The way we're going to do this is with the clear interface statistics state command, as opposed to the clear counters that you would perform on a Cisco device. And there might be a couple of other things that I do, a couple other commands that I show you, but that should be everything that we're going to show you in this lab. So hopefully it won't be too long of a lab for you. And then this lab is going to actually lead us into the Introduction to Juniper Lab number 4, which is going to be a very awesome lab in where I will compare how you perform show commands both between Cisco iOS devices, in this case a Cisco router, and a Juniper router. So I'm going to go over show commands on both devices and show you how you would perform the device normally on a Cisco device, and I'm going to show you the equivalent command on the Juniper router. So that's going to be a very cool lab as well. So if you have watched the Introduction to Juniper Lab number 1 and 2, I am actually connected to this Juniper router that's in the picture. This is the Juniper SRX210H, and I am connected to this device via my Ethernet port on my laptop, and I'm using the connection on the Juniper device, the GIGI000. So I have PuTTY already brought up, and I am in the router. So what I'm going to use in this lab is I'm actually going to use the same interface that I'm connected to the router to connect to a Cisco router virtually. So it's going to be a pretty cool lab. What I'm going to do first is I'll build the layout or the network topology, and we're going to be using a cloud interface. And again, this cloud, if you've ever used GNS3 to connect a real device to a virtual router in GNS3, then you're going to know exactly what I'm doing. If you aren't, then don't worry, I'll show you this step by step. So we're going to use the cloud device to emulate the network interface card on our laptop to connect to the Juniper device. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this step by step. So we drag the cloud device over, and we're going to change the host name. We'll just name it Juniper, that way we understand exactly what we're using the cloud for. So I'm going to right click, and we're going to configure the cloud. Again, the cloud is going to be the connection from GNS3 that's running on this laptop to my actual real Juniper SRX210. So if I The generic Ethernet NIO that we're going to use is the Realtek network adapter, the Realtek 10,000 Ethernet network interface card, which is my local area connection 2 on the laptop. So we're going to select this network interface card, we're going to add it, excuse me, we're going to go to Apply and OK. And what the next step I'm going to do is add my Ethernet switch option. This is going to bridge the connection from my network interface card on my local laptop to the virtual Cisco router running in GNS3. So in this example, we're just going to use a Cisco 3700. We'll just change the host name for simplicity in the lab. We're going to name this Cisco. And now I'm just going to set up my connections. Obviously on the Juniper side, it's going to be the cloud interface. We're using the local area connection, the LAN, the NIO, generic Ethernet. So we'll click on that and we'll point that to our switch. Doesn't matter what port, we'll just use port 1. And then the connection from the Cisco router. We're going to use Fast Ethernet 00 on the Cisco router to connect to the switch port 2. So let's go ahead and we'll get the Cisco router booted up and started. The Juniper side we already have a connection into. I'm already in the Juniper router. And if I do a show interface and look at the GigE 000 connection, you can see that the physical link is already showing up. And this is because obviously the laptop that I'm on, that I'm putting into the Juniper device through the Ethernet connection. So obviously the physical link is going to show up. And we also already have the logical interface associated with GigE 000 because that's how we are SSH'd into the device. Remember, the local IP address is 192.168.1.1 on the Juniper side. So this is actually going to be the Juniper connection, our Juniper side of the connection on the point-to-point link. So that part is already actually done for us. It's very simple, and I'll show you. If we go under configuration mode and do a show interface GigE 000, we can see that all we have is the logical unit 0 defined under family INET, which is IPv4, with the IPv4 address of 192.168.1.1/24. So that's a very simple configuration part on the Juniper side. So we shouldn't have to do anything. We can just add a description if we want. We can go under Edit Interfaces, GigE 000, and we could just do Set Description and add a description, connection to we'll do this. We'll do point-to-point connection to Cisco router. So now when I do a show, we can see that we have the description point-to-point connection to Cisco router. So that way if somebody comes in and sees what we have going on for the GigE 000 interface, they can see, oh, okay, they must have a connection going to the Cisco router. You can see that with the show interfaces description. We have now a description for our GigE 000 connection. So let's go back into GNS3. What we're going to do is we're just going to put some items out. We're going to use the 192.168.1.0/24 subnet for the lab. On the Juniper side, we are using gigi000.0. Remember, the .0 is the logical unit, the logical interface that we're using on gigi000. For the Cisco side, we're using fast Ethernet 00. So we're going to have to go into the Cisco side and admin that up and configure an IP address. On the Cisco side, we'll give it the .2 IP address. Juniper side is already configured for us. It's pretty simple, and I already explained that to you, and that's going to be the .1. So right now, if I try to ping 192.168.1.2, which is the Cisco side, you can see that I'm not getting any response. So let's go ahead and bring up the Cisco router, see if I can get a connection going, the connection up on the Cisco side. Just change the host name to Cisco, and we'll go under interface FA00. Again, this is the interface. We'll just give it the description: point-to-point connection to Juniper router. You can also see, if we go back to our Juniper side, we're still not seeing any pings going through. Give the IP address of 192.168.1.2, give it the same subnet mask /24. We'll go ahead and do a no shut. And now you can see, as soon as I do a no shut on the Cisco router, we can see that our pings are successful. And one of the first things you're going to see with the ping command on a Juniper router, if you just do a ping and then the IP address, is you're just going to see the output where the ping will never, it's never going to end. Pretty much, it's never ending ping. So let's go ahead and cancel that. We get out of that by doing a Control-C. We can see that we transmitted 110 packets, and only 34 of those packets were received. And that should be the number if we counted from the top to the very bottom down here. That should be 34 pings that were successful. So there's another way that you can do a ping to make it look more like a Cisco output of a ping, and that's by doing the command ping, then your IP address 192.168.1.2, and we're just going to follow it up with the rapid. As we can see, that looks a little more familiar to us, to the folks that have been configuring Cisco iOS devices. We can also put on the end of here the amount of pings that we want to send. If we want to send 1,000, we just add the count option and then put it 1,000. And if we're just going to put a question mark, you can see that we have more options. We can size the ping, so we can change the datagram size, and there's a lot of other options that we can use. We can use the source interface option as well. There's a lot of cool things to do with the ping option. We can also verify connectivity from the Cisco side back to the Juniper. If I do a ping 192.168.1.1, you can see that I can ping the, let's see, on the Cisco side, we're going to do a count of a repeat of 1,000. So that should ping the Juniper side 1,000 times. So what we have done already in this lab is that we have the point-to-point link already configured. There wasn't much that we had to do. We just had to go to the Cisco device, admin up the interface, and then give an IP address on the same subnet. The Juniper side was already configured. We showed you that. It's pretty simple, and that's how I got into the Juniper device in the first place. If I do a show configuration interfaces GIGI000, the only thing that we had to do on the Juniper side was go and give ourselves a logical unit 0 with the IPv4 address of 192.168.1.1. So that was already defined on the Juniper router. So if you're trying to simulate this lab at your house and you're counseled into your Juniper device, what you'll do is you just want to bring up an Ethernet connection pointing to your Cisco device and just define your logical unit, and you should have connectivity. And that's what we did in this lab. We actually have a real Juniper router, the SRX210, that we are bringing into the GNS3 program and connecting through the cloud interface to a virtual Cisco router. And this point-to-point link is an Ethernet link. So there's other options that you have to do, obviously, when you're dealing with SONET or serial interfaces. Obviously there's more configuration that might go into that type of setup. But for this setup, it's pretty simple. You just admin up the interfaces, make sure that the IP address is on the same subnet, define your logical interface on the Juniper side. So the next thing that we're going to show you is the monitor command and how you use this. So the monitor command, when I was first introduced to it, I was pretty amazed at what it allows you to do. It's a very cool feature on Juniper device. If we want to monitor, the way we're going to use this is by doing the monitor interface. We can also do, if I just do a monitor space question mark, you can see that we have multiple options. We have monitor interface. This is what we're going to use. We have the label switch path. We can do that. We can monitor start. We can monitor stop. We can monitor traffic. This is going to show you the real-time traffic information. So if I do monitor traffic, GIGI, monitor traffic interface GIGI000, this is showing us, obviously I have SSH enabled, and that's how I'm into the router. So it's showing us our SSH statistics. What about if I try to ping? See if this ping goes through. To stop the monitor traffic interface command, you just do a Control-C. And so what we can see is that we're getting a lot of SSH traffic over the interface right now. So it's pretty cool. Command monitor traffic will allow you to see a lot of the real-time traffic that is flowing through your interface. So the next thing I want to show you is the command monitor interface itself. Then we'll just put in gigi000. So what this is going to do is going to provide us real-time interface statistics, unlike the monitor traffic where that actually shows you the real-time IP traffic flowing over the interface. The monitor interface followed by the interface name is going to give you some very good real-time information about the input and output bytes, input and output packets, and also very important when you are troubleshooting connectivity across a link. It's going to give you your error statistics, input errors, input drops, input framing errors, police discards, layer 3 incompletes. So there's a lot of very good items that this command is going to show you. So you can see once I start that ping on the Cisco side, we can see that the bits per second input and output will increase dramatically. So right now we're sitting at right around 600 to 900. It never really goes above 1,000 input. Well, there you go. There you have 1,000. And then output, it's right about at about 3,000 at the max, or 4,000. You see that. So we can generate traffic over this. If I do a repeat count of 500 on the Cisco device and start this ping through, what we're going to see in real time is we're seeing the amount of bits per second increase dramatically. As we can see, before we were only hitting about 1,000 input and what was it? 4,000 output. Now we're at 20,000 bits per second input and 21,000 output. So it's very cool for troubleshooting, especially if you're seeing latency issues or just trying to see how much traffic is going over the interface in general. This monitor interface followed by the interface name is going to provide you with a very good troubleshooting option. One of the things I want to show you is at the bottom we have multiple options that we can use with this output. We can use the freeze, we can thaw, we can clear. So first thing I want to do is clear this. If I just hit C, you can see that the current delta was reset. So if again, now I'm going to hit C right now, and you can see everything was at 0. So I'm going to hit it again, you can see everything at 0. So it's a very cool option it gives you to see, okay, well, let's go ahead and try it now and see what our stats are. We can, you can hit C to clear, and then your current delta information will be reset. You can also say I do a ping to generate a lot of traffic over the link. You can see that our traffic numbers are rising, bits per second in and outbound on the Juniper side. So if I want to use this for troubleshooting to show somebody, I can do, if I hit F, you can see that all the numbers have stopped. So I want to use this, I'd do a print screen or do whatever just to say, hey, look, we saw this much traffic going over the interface at the time where you did this or that. You can use the freeze command to freeze the output of the monitor interface command. And to resume the output, you just hit T, which is thaw. So that's going to send us back to real-time monitoring. So we can stop this again if you just hit F, which I just did. I just hit F. We can see that nothing is incrementing anymore. So to resume the output, real-time output, I just hit T, which is to thaw. We can also, to get out of this, I just hit escape, and that brings us back to our prompt, our command prompt. One of the things I wanted to show you, if I do a show interfaces GIGI000, we can see that we have an input rate, output rate. We also have, let's see if I can show you, I do a show interfaces followed by detail. It'll give us a little more information. We have input bytes, output bytes, input packets, output packets. So if I wanted to show you how you clear the counters. It's actually called clear interface statistics on a Juniper device. On a Cisco, obviously it's clear counters. If you've never used this on a Cisco device, if I do a show interfaces FA00, you can see that I have my counter information. I have 3,000 or so packets inbound and 3,000 or so packets outbound. I can do a clear counters fast Ethernet 00 and hit enter to confirm. And now if I do a show interfaces, we can see that the stats, the counter information was reset. So this is very helpful again in troubleshooting issues. So clear counters is how you do it on a Cisco device. How you would perform this same function on a Juniper device, we would do a clear interface statistics and then followed by the interface. So in this case we're going to use GIGI000. This is our point-to-point connection to the Cisco router. So we'll do GIGI000 and hit enter. And now if I do a show interfaces GIGI000 detail, you can see that my information has been reset. So now we're seeing input 11, output 9. Obviously it's going to be incrementing because this is how we are SSH'd into the router again. That's through the GIGI00 connection. So if I do a clear interface statistics GIGI000, then if I do real fast, if I do a monitor interface, we can see that our numbers are real low again. So that clears all of, pretty much resets everything, the count on all of the options. So that should give you a good understanding of how to use the monitor interface and monitor traffic commands on a Juniper device. So what we went over in this lab, Introduction to Juniper Lab number 3, we went over how to configure a point-to-point link between a Cisco and Juniper router. More specifically, the Juniper router was a real SRX210H that's in my lab, and we connected this device to a virtual Cisco router using GNS3. We brought up the link between the Juniper and Cisco router. We showed you that we had reachability between these devices by doing a ping from end to end, from the Cisco side to the Juniper side. We also showed you the ping from the Juniper side to the Cisco side. We explained to you some of the ping options that you can use in the Juniper device. Some of the other things that we showed you on the Juniper side was how to use the monitor interface command. We also showed you how you use the monitor traffic command. And we showed you how to clear the traffic or reset the interface statistics by using the command clear interface statistics. So in the next lab, what you're going to see, that's going to be Introduction to Juniper Lab number 4. What we're going to show you is we're going to break down a lot of show commands. We're going to set up some routing protocols. I might actually have those already set up depending on the length of the video, because I have a lot of show commands that I want to explain to you. I want to show you how on the Cisco device you do one of the show commands and how it translates over or compares on the Juniper side. So I want to familiarize you guys with how to do those show commands on both devices, on both the Juniper, on the Junos and on the Cisco iOS. So that's going to be a great video. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.